Many young people have a nearly unlimited access to the internet, including social media, and that means news and images of the war in Ukraine can be right at their fingertips. The reality of the conflict can be very upsetting for some kids and teenagers, forcing families to have difficult conversations about what's going on in the world. So we want to bring in psychotherapist Dr. Catherine Smerling to get some insight into sort of the best ways to approach this uncomfortable conversation. Thanks for joining us. I have a kid. Obviously, she's the daughter of a journalist, so she's very familiar with everything that's going on. Kids sometimes they kind of spit stuff out in a kind of lighthearted way, and it's hard to figure out how seriously she's actually taking all of this. What is the best way to explain what's happening in Ukraine to a young child?
Well, this is also a very, very good teaching moment, unfortunately. And the best way to describe things to children is to use their language. So you would use the analogy of a playground, of a sandbox, that one little kid is in the sandbox with his toys, and he wants someone else's toys in the other sandbox. So he just goes and takes them instead of negotiating or having an adult talk about it. It becomes a way to teach kids about conflict resolution, about other ways other than physical violence, other ways other than war, and the cruelty of war, and how we can help other people in the Ukraine and be able to have compassion for them who did not ask for this war and be able to give to them. So one way to help is always to give back to other people. The other way is to talk about it and to make sure that your child understands that it is important to resolve conflicts in a peaceful way and not in a way that engenders war.
So Doctor, just thinking back to my childhood, there were a lot of terrible things happening, hijackings and bombings of planes. You had the Iranian hostage crisis. And then, of course, we all live with the specter of mutually assured destruction, nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union. But the difference now, I feel, is that children have much greater access to images because of the internet and news and information because of the internet. In those days when we were kids, you had to pick up a newspaper or you had to watch the news to figure out what was going on. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, when children see, for example, on the front page of the New York Times, a family that has been killed by Russian attacks, how do you explain to a child what's going on there? And more importantly, how do you prevent them from becoming... I think, what people don't want to do is for children to lose their innocence and their understanding of what's so great about being a child. But it's hard when you're confronted with images like that and you have access to the internet.
Well, the reality is that we do have access to the internet. You can use parental blocks, which I recommend for all children under the age of 7, so that they don't see these images which become indelible. So we want to prevent very young kids from seeing these horrible images, which are heartbreaking. And then we can talk about how it makes them feel. We do have to recognize that there is a war, and war is bad. And we can talk about the fact that there are bullies in this world that use war and guns to resolve conflicts, and people get hurt. Innocent people get hurt, and we have to do everything we can to prevent that from happening. So we take it down to a very concrete level. How are we going to be nice to our neighbors, to our friends, to someone that we don't get along with, and move it to a concrete resolution so that a child can understand that they have some power themselves, or else they're just seeing things outside of themselves and they have no power about what to do in their own lives. It's very important that we make this real for a child in their own language and not talk about things that they wouldn't understand.
That makes a lot of sense. Should you bring it up if your kid isn't bringing it up?
I think that becomes a personal, a personal value development thing because I think that they will, if they talk to friends, their chances are that they are going to know about a war that is going on halfway around the world. So it might be a good idea to talk about what it means and how we can live peacefully in our own world and how we can make this real for ourselves rather than have them find out about it from another person. Because it's always frightening to find out about something outside of the home rather than inside of the home where they feel safe and you can talk about it. If you're going to talk to your child, then you have to talk calmly. You have to use their language. And you have to say that it doesn't affect you, but it affects the whole world because we have compassion for other people. It's a wonderful way to teach reciprocity. It's a wonderful way to teach conflict resolution. And unfortunately, it's a really good teaching moment. And that's rather unfortunate.
Yeah.
Very important information. Dr. Catherine Smerling, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.